Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison and Sean again tonight. How we doing, fellas?
So, boys.
Good boys. How we doing?
Good. Crazy week of baseball. We're going to get into it. But first, make sure you like, share our podcast, follow, subscribe on YouTube. We now are officially on Spotify and everywhere else except Apple, where you get your podcasts. Still working on that mess, but everywhere else you get your podcast, you can find us on there finally. So,
Yep.
Amen.
It's exciting.
Right?
Nice work, Sean.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to lead off, obviously, with the World Baseball Classic here. It has been a nutso week. I don't even know where to really start with this. We can start in Pool A, I guess, if you guys stayed up till 1:30 in the morning to watch the first pitch. I could catch maybe the first half inning, and then I was asleep because I started at 11 o'clock start
time.
It
was hard.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was a whole lot of catch the first inning, maybe 2 innings, catch up on highlights, but it was tough. I mean, it was tough.
Yeah.
Even now, and I'm going to go into, I know we're doing Pool A now, right? But and I know Major League Baseball doesn't run the World Baseball Classic, so I have to ease up on Major League Baseball for this. But let's just say big baseball in general, right? Just overarching big baseball. Why is the United States versus Mexico on at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night?
Yeah.
I understand the games in Arizona.
Yeah.
I understand the time difference. We keep saying, "Oh, we want to get kids back into baseball." Well, we now have an atmosphere of baseball. A lot of these World Baseball Classic games, dude, you'd think the atmosphere is like Game 7 of the World Series. It matters to the players.
Yep.
It matters to the fans. The places in the stadiums are rocking. You have teams that are up 7-1 and they're hitting RBI doubles in the fifth, and the benches are going absolutely bananas. The atmosphere is incredible, and yet we're putting Team USA against Team Mexico on Sunday night at 10 p.m.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, the U.S. and Mexico, you got the fans going back and forth in the stands during the game. It's a friggin' party, and I'm watching Brady Singer get lit up at 11:30. And even tonight, you've got Canada and USA at 10 o'clock again.
10 o'clock, dude.
What
and
the hell?
Listen, we're grown-ups. If we want to stay up and watch it, we can. I'm probably not going to be able to catch the whole game because I'll fall asleep. But
agreed.
Coffee.
But for kids, you want the idea is we're trying to get kids back into enjoying baseball, and we're putting this tournament on at 10 p.m. I understand the 10 p.m. games in Taiwan, that I get.
Right. Absolutely.
But I don't know. It's just it's frustrating. But yeah, Pool A, man. Pool A was fantastic.
Yeah.
Pool A. I'm sure you guys saw it, and I'm sure the people listening saw it. The entire pool finished 2-2.
Yeah, the most balanced pool there was.
It was incredible. So Sunday morning was the final game of the pool, and it was Italy versus the Netherlands. Italy was 1-2. The Netherlands were 2-1. All the Netherlands had to do was win the game, and then it's the Netherlands and Cuba advancing out of the group. Italy wins 7-1, makes the entire group 2-2. So what they do is the first tiebreaker is head-to-head, which obviously doesn't matter because everyone's 2-2. So then you move on to the second tiebreaker, which was some sort of calculation algorithm. Essentially, it was a runs given up metric. So you take the amount of runs that you allowed through the first 4 games, and you divide that by the number of outs that you produced on defense. And so it spits out, essentially what it comes out to is runs allowed per out produced is essentially what it boils down to. And the teams that have the best, so the lowest, which is the best combination of outs to runs, are the teams that advanced. And those 2 teams ended up being Cuba number 1 and Italy number 2. But the unique situation is not only did Italy win 7-1, but because it was based on a runs given up metric, Italy couldn't give up more than 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. So even if they won 7-4, they would have been knocked out of the second round.
Would that have been the case too if they won 6-1? Would Netherlands have won?
Well, no, because it was runs given up, not run differential.
Right, but then Netherlands.
It's not a run differential metric.
Right, but then the Netherlands would have given up 1 fewer runs.
Well, so yeah, but Yeah, so it may have been. I don't know what the Netherlands. I don't know how far off the Netherlands calculation was.
Because if it
I
was
just know
off
that-
by 1 run, they scored 1 run in the bottom of the 8th to make it 7-1, and that could have been the difference. Which
If
is
it was,
nuts.
yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how much it was
Yeah.
off.
Crazy
I just know that
tiebreaker
Italy.
metric.
Yeah, I just know that Italy couldn't give up 3.
Gotcha.
So the whole thing was nuts. Like it was like 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, and I was watching that on the edge of my seat. It was nuts.
So great. Yeah, that whole pool 2-2. So Cuba, Italy advance. Pascantino, he was my kind of sleeper pick. He's putting together a tournament. So
Yeah, he's doing okay.
yep. And the other three guys we know.
Anybody else love the fact that the Italian team has an espresso right there on the bench?
It's fantastic.
Like, is there anything more Italian than these guys like taking a little espresso shot in the third inning?
And they're all leaning into it too. Like all the guys, like I think it's like 80% of them have like just ridiculous mustaches. Like they're leaning into it. I love it.
Yeah, it's so great.
Looks like Mario and Luigi at every position.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to kind of bring back your point about putting the USA on at 10 p.m., like you see what baseball means to these other countries, right?
Oh, hell
I mean,
except for Great Britain.
Well, we'll get to them in a minute, but I mean, you look at what is it down there in Arizona? I can't remember the name of the field now. It changes all
Chase
the time,
Field?
but Chase Field, thank you. Like, I mean, the Mexico fans were off the chain the entire game. It doesn't even matter what the score was. Even when they lost their first game, like they were nuts the whole entire time.
Well, I got the Puerto Rico Israel game up right now, and I mean those fans, like they're all draped in flags, banging tambourines, like it's got like a World Series vibe and an incredible amount of kind of national pride.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're absolutely right, Sean. There's zero reason why they're on at 10 o'clock 2 nights in a row.
Oh,
it's just
the only
out of control.
The only thing that I would accept, I would fighting league. I would accept it fighting, but I would still accept it Saturday night at 10 p.m.
Yeah,
I would begrudgingly accept Saturday night at 10. Sunday night at 10, absolutely not. Monday night at 10, no chance.
Nope, agree. But yeah, I mean the fans have been, I think, one of the coolest parts to watch in this whole thing. I mean,
I agree,
especially here cool. Over in Europe. Japan, it wasn't that crazy, like in the stands. But did you see the stat when Japan played China? 46% of Japan's households was watching that game. 46%. That's insanity.
The Japanese, like people, like the players, the fans, like they have such an incredible respect for the game of baseball. It's crazy.
Yeah, massive.
Did you see the way the fans reacted to the girl that caught Ohtani's first home run for the WBC?
I missed that.
So this girl, I mean, I don't know. She looked young. Like she looked like she was like our age, right? Like mid-30s, maybe late there. Like she looked like young. Like she,
Thanks.
Well, thanks for calling us young.
Yeah.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. So she catches the home run ball. The place is going absolutely bonkers, just bananas. And she's passing the ball around to everyone else in the section so that they can get their individual pictures with the ball. They take their pictures, they pass it on to the person next to them, and it makes its way back to the girl who rightfully owns the baseball. And no problem.
Crazy.
Like that would never happen. It is such an incredible.
The second person would have been running up the stairs and out of the stadium with it.
The respect for the game that they have is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It was like the coolest thing to see.
Well, did you see the picture of or the moment before the game where Sadahara O and Shohei Ohtani were taking pictures and talking?
Yeah,
awesome.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
so awesome. Yeah, I think I'm moving, boys. I'll move to Japan.
He might be the best player to ever play baseball.
868
or Shohei Ohtani?
No, Ohtani.
Yes.
So if you follow MLB's Facebook page, Ohtani is the greatest player to ever live.
Listen, we can joke all that. Like, I still think Aaron Judge was last year's MVP because he had a historical season. But with what Ohtani might be the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, if he keeps this up, you could make an argument.
He's disgusting.
Yeah. And I think people get wrapped up in that, right? I know we're getting a little bit sidetracked here, but the greatest player and the MVP are two separate things. They're not the same thing. You can be the greatest player, Mike Trout, and not win an MVP. Like that's just how it is. Anyways, yeah, I mean, he's disgusting. He really is. It's not.
So gross.
It's not even fair.
Yep.
So Pool B, since we're on the topic, Japan goes out 4-0. I mean, no one else is leaving their pool 4-0.
Well, what's kind of cool with Pool B is that you got 5 teams. You've got a team that won 4 games, a team that won 3 games, one that won 2, one that won 1, one that won 0. It was like perfectly spread out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Japan moves on, and the second one was Australia.
Right.
And then did you guys see how much love that Czech Republic team got? They released that video, like, one of the first baseman's like the social media manager for the club. Another guy's in sales. Another guy like imports baseball equipment for kids over in that country. Like, these are like everyday guys like us that like went to an open tryout and got put on the field
and made the World Baseball Classic.
The World Baseball Classic.
Crazy.
And the scary thing is, like, they won a game too. Like, they actually won a game with a bunch of just like regular Joes off the street.
Dude, imagine the 3 of us just get in the batter's box and we're like, "Oh, great, we pulled Ohtani tonight."
Dude, my God,
we would have been better than China's 0-4 and 22-2 loss.
I don't know, dude.
Buddy,
you haven't seen my swing lately.
I would have looked like Henry Rowan-Gardner. I just would have been like standing in the back of the box.
Oh my ball God. Forward, he swings through it. Yeah, man. It's been so much fun to watch, like geeking out over baseball again, like actually watching it. But
and the funny thing is, when the World Baseball Classic came out, I'm like, God, this is such a stupid gimmick. And I think the first year was just kind of weird because it was new, but like, I feel like it's gotten better every time they've done it. Like, it continues. The stakes are raised, the atmosphere is better. Like, it's become basically baseball's World Cup, and it is cool. It's a cool event.
Yeah, it sure is.
Australia too, paying a lot of respect to Liam Hendriks and what he's going through right now, and Liam Hendriks like still being involved with that team, even though he's battling cancer right now. Like, that team misses that guy a lot, and they've been very vocal about that. So it's cool to kind of see them come out of that pool as well. So
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Pool C. The United States.
This one is wide open.
Canada, Mexico.
This is a pool looking like it could end up like Pool A, where everybody's like 2-2. Maybe somebody gets to 3-1, but this could easily be a bunch of 2-2 teams.
I think someone will get to 3-1.
I feel like somebody has to.
Yeah.
I just don't know who.
I mean, we talked about it when we talked about the rosters. I mean, the United States pitching staff is a major hindrance to that club,
and we saw it.
I know the offense isn't exactly setting the world on fire right now, but that's the crazy thing. It's 4 games. Anything can happen in 4 games, and it's not a 4-game series against the same team. It's
right.
4 games against 3. Like, so it's, you got to give the offense a little bit of time to wake up. And I know they don't really have that, but that's where kind of balancing it with a pitching staff helps, because it's like you can win a game 3-2.
Yeah.
Coming from 3 guys that played New England high school baseball and only got 4 game seasons, like, like it's
what's cool, and I remember which player had said it, but there's a number of pitchers these guys are facing they've never seen. Like, there's no scouting report on the dude from the Venezuelan national team. Like, nobody knows who he is and what you're going to get from him.
Sure, which is where I think hitting instincts take over.
Yeah.
Which is where, like, maybe and I don't know, maybe D-Row and the coaching staff of the U.S. kind of have a meeting with the boys. Just say, hey, tonight, just see ball, hit ball. I mean, it's,
right.
You're so used to having these advanced scouting reports, and you're so used to going up to the plate, like, with a plan, not just for that at bat, but like, I'm setting up for at bats in the 4th inning and the 6th inning. Like, you're so used to that kind of stuff. Like, we're harkening back to high school, boys.
Yeah.
Like, it was see ball, hit ball. Now, granted, they weren't throwing 98 and whatever. Like, I get all that, but the principle remains the same. Like, go up, be loose, have fun, be aggressive, that kind of thing. Like, maybe that maybe just kind of gets the monkey off the back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Talent wise, I mean, the only lineup that's more talented than the U.S. is the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
That, like, talent wise. So the U.S. should be able to lean on the talent a little bit more. I would like to say the U.S. would be the team that wins tonight against Canada. They get to 2-1, and then they get to 3-1. But it's just such a question mark with the pitching. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to say, like, well, Wainwright looked pretty good and they looked all right against Great Britain, but, like, Jesus, I mean, what does that tell you?
I mean,
right.
It is crazy too with a 65 pitch count. That throws in a whole new wrinkle, right? I mean, you have one long inning where you don't necessarily give up any runs, but you throw 24 pitches.
Sure.
You're more than a third through your outing. And then now you're out in the third inning, you're relying on the bullpen.
Well,
And it's hard.
And you got Lance Lynn going tonight for the US, and he's not exactly the most efficient guy on the mound. He's gonna throw some pitches.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you hope, right? Like, this is where you hope what we were saying works against Canada, where, like, you know, the Canadian lineup is not full of a bunch of Major League Baseball players. Like, this is where you hope the fact that they don't have a scouting report against Lance Lynn, maybe they go out and get a little too aggressive. Maybe they make it easy for Lance, like a couple of easy outs, couple of quick innings, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? It's baseball, man. That's why you got to play the game.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm going to try and watch as much as I can tonight. But I'll be shocked if I see the fifth inning.
Yeah, I was up late watching the U.S. and Mexico. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it twice in a row.
Yeah, I'll be shocked.
All right, I guess I'll have to stay up and watch it tonight.
Short straw.
Yeah, the first game, Arenado goes 3 for 5. Schwarber had that huge 3-run bomb.
Yeah.
That thing was tanked as well.
Yeah.
And then let's get to that scoring marathon from Canada and Great Britain real quick.
No, let's not. That was brutal.
That was out of control. It was, what is it, 18-8 after the fourth inning? I think
Something
it was
like that.
18-8 mercy rule. There were like 57 walks in that game. Like it was brutal.
It was so hard to watch.
It was
awful. So hard to watch.
It's still not the biggest loss going back to, was it Pool B, Korea over China, 22-2?
Yeah, 22-2. That one hurts.
And 5 innings. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that was just bad baseball.
So who comes out of Pool C, do we think? With our heads, not our hearts.
I'm gonna go. I feel like the U.S. is gonna have to rally here. I'm gonna go U.S. and Mexico. Mexico, as we talked about last week, Mexico has got a really good, kind of sneaky good roster. That win against the U.S. is a big confidence booster for them. I'll take the U.S. and Mexico.
I think that's pretty much.
Who's
I don't know. Team in there? Canada, Great Britain,
Colombia. Colombia is solid. Yeah, Colombia is solid. I mean, they were my original number 2 pick. It was, for me, it was U.S. and Colombia, but Mexico, I don't know. I'm believing in Mexico.
Yeah, Colombia's what, 1-1?
Yeah. So Colombia's 1-1, Mexico's 1-1, U.S. is 1-1, Canada's only 1-0. They've only played one game. Great Britain's 1-2.
Right. Okay. So Great Britain has, okay.
Yeah.
I'll say U.S. and Canada. I'll say U.S. and Canada. I think the U.S. wins tonight. I think that puts the U.S. at 2-1. They have the day off tomorrow. Canada's got to play tomorrow. Canada comes off a loss today, wins tomorrow. They're 2-1. I say U.S. and Canada. I think it's about time. Canada has never made it out of the first round, never made it out of the group stage, I should say, the World Baseball Classic. But they're always good for an upset. And I say they're upset. It's not just one upset game. I say they upset and get out. So U.S. and Canada, yeah.
Okay. I'm not going with any of those. I think it's Colombia and Mexico.
Oh, all right.
I would love to watch the U.S. again, but man, their pitching is really bad. It's monumentally bad. It's
relative to what they're facing. They don't have the same level of staff. I mean, even if the U.S. does come out of this pool, I think that the next round, as far as they go, they're going to get crushed. But
I mean, who knows? They do have guys that can deal. Like when Wainwright's on, he's filthy. I mean, Brady Singer can pitch. We've seen flashes.
Oh, his stuff is nasty. Guy's got electric stuff.
But I think Sean said it a couple weeks ago with like the amount of pitching talent that was left off the U.S. roster that could be there and is not.
Wait, Nick, you think Colombia, you said?
Yeah.
The team that lost to Great Britain?
Yep.
Okay.
He's going real dark horse here.
Yeah.
Just clarify.
But, I mean, just saying.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. They just had a bad day.
Yeah.
So we can write Colombia's loss to Great Britain off as a bad day, but the United States loss to Mexico is the monumental death of pitching.
Yes.
That's okay. All right. Again.
Yep.
Just
That's how it
wanted to
works.
clarify.
It's baseball. That's how it
Okay.
works.
Oh
All
god.
right. Okay.
I mean,
Children.
listen,
Bring it
but
back.
the crazy thing about that U.S. lineup is they could come on tonight and score 35 runs
Well, that's the thing.
by
Like,
the third inning. It's
you
I
know,
think-
the U.S. is
I-
going to have to win these games by scoring more runs. They're not going to win 3-2 games here. They're going to have
Which
to
we
win
s-
like 8-6.
We said that going in.
Yep.
That was
Absolutely.
no mystery. And I think I've learned over the years, my role in the friendship with Nick is just to walk him off the ledge sometimes. Like sometimes we have to just back ourselves off a little bit from just like baseball Armageddon. Like it's gonna be okay. Like it's
Yeah, it was just a bad day.
It's a wonderful sport, but sometimes you just have bad days.
Yeah.
And
sure.
you can, and the great thing about
Ugh.
baseball is you can come out the next night and have a great day, and then everything flips on its head, and then you're the greatest team in the world. So we'll be all right. I truly do. I truly think the U.S. will come out tonight. I think they simplify the approach a little bit offensively. I think they're feeling the pressure of how great the lineup is, and
Yeah,
I think they're
absolutely.
feeling the pressure on what they need to do. These are all veteran. I mean, they got at least 3 Hall of Famers in the lineup, maybe 4, maybe
At
5.
least,
Like,
yeah.
so they know what they're doing. They know how to hit. They know how to play offense. They know how to score runs. Like I truly, and this obviously I'm a little bit of a homer, but my brain, like I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, it was kind of cool, like to see that, like Mike Trout, or I was watching the game and they're saying like Mike Trout, like almost handpicked these guys. Like once he
yeah.
made the announcement, he was like, "Hey Mookie, you want to come play?" And he's like, "Are you playing?" He's like, "Yep." And he's like, "I'm in." So I mean, it was kind of cool that he kind of did that, almost like the LeBron James, like, "Hey, come play with me." But
Well, you know, I'll tell you this. I think one of the cooler things that came out of that to me was Paul Goldschmidt, who played in the last one,
Yep.
right,
and he was kind of like the best player on the team on the last one.
He was really
And
good.
Paul Goldschmidt understood that Mike Trout was coming, Mookie Betts was coming, Carl Schwarber was coming to play, but he didn't shrink down. Like he didn't be like, oh well, like he realized that he was going to have a new role, right? Like
Mhm.
Goldie knew, like, hey, there's going to be bigger personalities, there's going to be bigger paychecks and payroll. Like I have a new role, and like a true professional. I mean, the guy hasn't blinked.
Right.
He didn't look great last night.
No, he did not look good.
But he's done this thing before though, where he kind of is like 0 for 4 with 4 Ks. You're like, what the hell are you doing? And then he shows up the next night and he hits like 2 bombs. Like he corrects himself pretty quick. Like he doesn't slump for too long. So I'm going to try and at least stay up for his first couple of bats tonight and see if I'm
And
right
it-
about that.
and it's the pressure of kind of going back home. He's from, like, he started his career in
Yeah,
Arizona.
sure.
There's a
too,
lot of
so-
jerseys. There's a lot of Goldsmith jerseys in that stadium last night.
That's
Yeah.
true.
so-
And what else is cool too is like in game 1, I think Trey Turner hit like 7th or 8th, and they're asking about, what's it like to hit 7th or 8th. He goes, in this lineup, I'm just happy to be in it.
Mhm.
right?
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's these guys they're coming together, they're having fun. There's not as much ego as you expect from some of these guys. It's fun to watch a different kind of group like this have to play together. It's All-Star game's one thing. You're hanging out for like 2 days and you're gone. But like these guys are with each other for the week. They're
And
pretty well
getting at
entrenched.
it.
There's Goldschmidt didn't even play game 1. Schwarber, he gave up his bat to somebody else. He played in game 2. Like, and these guys are cool with it. So
I mean, I'll say this. This is the last thing I'll say on Team USA. With the pitching staff that they assembled and the talent of U.S. pitchers that chose not to play, which totally agree, nothing against
Right.
them.
Yep.
We knew they weren't going to run the gauntlet. We knew they weren't going to
Yeah.
win every game they played. So with that being said, it was tough the way that they lost. Like it was tough to watch. And again, I didn't watch the whole game. It was tough to watch these guys kind of just like they're either throwing them and getting smoked in the middle of the zone or they couldn't find the zone. And then that's a frustrating game to watch.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you lose 11-5 or you lose 6-5, it's a loss. A loss is a loss. So regroup.
I agree.
They certainly have the professional guys in the room to do it. So 10 o'clock is hopefully comes pretty soon because I'd be anxious to get this game going.
yeah, these guys weren't like Nick. They weren't panicked that the world was coming to an end. They knew that tomorrow would be fine.
Yeah.
Anyways, Pool D. So speaking of a little bit of panic, maybe the Dominican Republic kind of sits in the same, almost the same exact seat as the U.S. is right now, with the pressure of that lineup. And they haven't really come out and performed to the level that was expected. Which I get it. It's a lot of pressure for U.S. and Dominican. You can't put all of that talent on that Dominican team and not feel any pressure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're the clear favorites in this tournament. Like that goes right to those kids. Like, and we've said this before. You got to remember, these are kids. They're 24. They're 20. Some of them are 19 for Christ's sake.
A lot of them,
like they're kids. It's gonna go to their head. But Venezuela, man, Venezuela is a real deal right now. They're playing. They are hot. They got the pitching. Their lineup is solid. They're going to be a really tough team to knock out of this tournament, I think.
Yeah. I think DR is definitely sitting in the same spot the United States is. I think the one thing that the DR does have is the staff.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to lean on a pitcher. And, Alcantara didn't look great in the first game. He kind of got hit pretty hard. But he's not the only guy they have. Like, no. They do have the ability to kind of go to maybe 3 or 4 different guys and just say, like, hey, man, we need you to let him drop tonight. And any one of those guys can do it. That's where that kind of lets a little bit of the pressure off the offense, where it's like,
absolutely,
if the U.S. starts slow, they go 1-2-3 in the first, 1-2-3 in the second, and then they get down maybe 1-0, 2-0. They're going to clench a little bit. They're going to have to, because it's like, we got to score. Like, we can't go down 6-0. We can't let this thing get out of control. Where the DR kind of has that ability to just, but with that being said, I still think they come out of it. I think it's the DR and Venezuela.
Yeah, I think that Venezuela may finish tops in that Pool D, but Dominican definitely comes out.
Yeah, they come out. I'd like to say Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's kind of putting a bit of hurting on Israel right now.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's no hitting them right now through 5.
Right. I just don't know. I don't know where they get it from. Like, I don't know. Like, well, how am I trying to say this? I don't know who they take it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I don't. Do they take it from Venezuela? I don't think so.
No, I think Venezuela's put themselves in the spot where, if they go 1-1 the rest of the way, which they should be able to do, they'll be 3-1. You're not going to nobody's going undefeated in this bracket, or in this pool. So Venezuela's definitely through. And then it's going to be between the DR and Puerto Rico for that last spot.
Yeah, I mean,
Puerto Rico should move to 2-1 tonight. They'll be in the driver's seat.
But I mean, Venezuela's already beaten the 2, toughest teams in that pool. So I mean,
Venezuela could easily go 4-0.
They're completely in the driver's seat right now. Yeah, but I think you're right.
Do we know when let me see if I can find the schedule. I'm trying to see, do we know when Puerto Rico and the DR play? Because that's going to be the game. It's going to be it's going to be that game.
I think it's tomorrow.
Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic.
Oh, wait, they're in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott says Yachty's calling the game for Puerto Rico. Probably. Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
March 15th. So Wednesday night.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Wednesday.
Okay. And again, this is just going back to just my absolutely ridiculous that game is Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Why is the United States playing at 10 p.m.? If you can find a way for Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic to play at 7 p.m., why is the United States playing at 10 p.m.?
Because
explain that to me.
Because they're in the Eastern time zone.
Doesn't matter.
But their country's fans, it does matter. It's not all about the U.S. and the World Baseball Classic, Sean.
When the U.S. team plays, it is.
But when you're in the United States and the game is being held in the United States, in the fans of the country that it's being played at, it does.
It's still 7 o'clock in Arizona when they play.
No, it's not. It'd be 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock there. It is.
So it sucks for us on the East Coast, but it doesn't for most of the country. Most of the country.
Of the country. Nick, where do you think most of the country is situated?
Okay,
Most of the country is in the Eastern time.
You do realize like 75% of our population is east of the Mississippi, right?
Let's call it what it is. Most of the
All right.
people are.
Okay, well, all of Puerto Rico and all of Dominican Republic.
You're not teaching these kids geography, right, Nick?
You guys are ridiculous. All of Puerto Rico and all of Dominican Republic are in the Eastern time zone, so they're going to play at 7. They're not going to play at 10.
The point that I'm trying to make is the United States should be playing the first game at Chase Field.
Oh shit!
I agree. I mean, they shouldn't all be 10 o'clock games. They should be cycling through.
The reason why they're playing at 10 o'clock our time is because they're waiting for the second, or possibly, depending on if it's a weekend or a weekday, second or third game at Chase Field. I get that. But the United States should be playing the first game at Chase Field on weeknights. They should.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
That's
or
at
least cycle through them, like take turns. Like if you had 7 o'clock that you're 10 o'clock the next night, or then you're 9. Like you can't be in the same time slot every single night. I don't think that's fair.
But so back to the original point. So you got Puerto Rico, Israel right now. Puerto Rico's leading, so they likely win this game. You got Dominican and Israel tomorrow. Dominican likely wins that game. So then you go Dominican and Puerto Rico on Wednesday. They're both going to come into that game 2-1. Winner moves on.
With Puerto Rico coming off an off day.
Right. So you know that your Wednesday 7 p.m. it will be your decider of this pool, because Venezuela plays Nicaragua and Israel Tuesday and Wednesday at noon both days. They'll win at least one, if not both of those games. Venezuela's through. Okay. So that 7 o'clock game Wednesday will be must-see TV.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
See, Scott's with you, Sean. He says he's in bed by 8:30, so he doesn't get to see any of the.
But it's 8:39, so he stayed up late to watch us. Look at that.
Oh, thanks, Scotty. But yeah, I mean, Venezuela comes out. Like you said, I don't think there's. I mean, if they drop these next 2 games, then that's going to be an ugly look. But it's baseball, right? It could happen.
Good news though. United States plays Colombia at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. That could be a deciding game. So that'll make Sean really happy.
Thrilled.
Yeah. I got to go to the store and get more coffee then. I might as well just stay up until Wednesday at that point.
Yeah.
But
let's go.
All right. So who are you cheering for?
Sorry, boys. I got a parlay on the Maple Leafs at -1.5 and the Avalanche at -1.5.
Degenerate gambler.
They're both hitting right now. So
nice.
All right. Well, anyways, I thought you were watching the Puerto Rico game. I was like, nothing
happened.
I have that one on the TV.
Gotcha. All right. So we think Venezuela, and then it's a kind of a toss-up between the DR and Puerto Rico. I mean,
the nice thing is they're gonna get to battle for it right at the very end.
It'll be the winner.
Yep.
That's gonna be. I certainly think Puerto Rico has the talent to do it. They're taking nothing away from the talent on the Puerto Rican team. I just think if you let the Dominican team get rolling, if the Dominican team wins tonight, and then the Dominican team wins them, it's like. You kind of right.
Could you imagine a scenario where both the U.S. and Dominican don't advance?
I know.
That's entirely possible.
It sure is.
Man,
that's why we play the games, man. That's why we play the games.
And then I'm all in for like Australia or Italy. Like I don't know if
Japan absolutely demolished who they played. Granted,
that's true.
That was not the strongest pool, but
if those 2 don't get out, I'm team Venezuela all the way.
Oh yeah, that team is so
Venezuela
good.
All the way.
I think they'll win, but I'm gonna pull for an underdog though. If those 2 teams will make it out,
I guess. But I'll jump on that bandwagon. They're such a fun team to watch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All right. Well, that was a lot. We're gonna have another week of World Baseball Classic.
It is just so nice to have baseball to talk about again.
Oh my god, it's been absolutely amazing. Like I said, Pool A and Pool B was really tough with those 11 o'clock start times and 3 a.m. start times. I'm just like,
it's
okay,
tough.
Yeah. But it was cool to see some of the clips. I didn't get to see Ohtani play at all. Like I didn't even watch one at bat with him because
they were either on at 5 a.m. or it was weird.
Yeah. So, but it'll be nice when they get over here and we get to watch them here too. So yeah. A little note about Pool B. I did see a report that said if Dominican Republic does make it out of pool play, if somebody is hurt, then Vlad Jr. could possibly return to the Dominican Republic roster. So
If
even
you're the
though
Interesting.
if you're the Blue Jays, though, are you really thinking like, yeah, you should go play after coming off like a little
a
tweak
knee
of the
tweak,
knee?
I would say no, but
I would wrap that dude in bubble wrap if I was the Blue Jays, but
I would too. But yeah, I saw that report and I was like, huh. It's like interesting. It's like once
Yeah.
you get pulled, you can still go back. But
well, I think they
only if
treat it. I
somebody
think
gets
they
hurt.
treat it like the playoffs, where you can kind of reset if you've got injuries to deal with.
Yeah, yeah.
Another interesting fact too. Not sure if people saw it, but with Kyle Schwarber's World Baseball Classic home run, he's now homered in both in the AL and NL Division Series, Wild Card Series, Championship Series, and the World Series. Now also the WBC. He's
Yeah.
homered in basically every
So
kind
crazy.
of playoff there is.
That dude has hit like 200 home runs in the last 2 years. It
He,
seems like
he
every
really
time.
has. I mean, when he came up
it's
with the Cubs, he was a
insane.
high average, a little bit of pop kind of guy, and now he's turned into just a monster.
It's easily, in my opinion, the most under talked about thing in the past, let's call it 4 years. That like there's no left-handed hitter that's hit more home runs than Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And-
a terror.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And to think in that span of time he's played for 4 different teams, like no one wants to lock this guy up. Like it's
I don't
crazy.
understand it. I don't understand it.
He came up with the Cubs as a high OBP guy, and then all of a sudden he hits 30, 26, 38. He hit 11 in the 2020 season. It's 32 and then 46.
Like I understand that you're giving this, his low OBP and his very streaky average. Like I get it leaves a little bit to be desired, but like in the right lineup, like if you build a lineup around a guy like that,
Yep.
like that's easily a guy you can give that up for because he's gonna just mash bombs 42 times a year.
But
That's
his OBP's not terrible, is it?
No,
Yeah.
I mean he's
It's
in
gone
the
down the last couple years, but he used to
he's
be
in
like a really
career
good on
career.
base.
He's 339. His highest OBP ever was 374 in 21.
Yeah,
Last year his OBP was 323, but he also only hit 218.
I was just
Yeah,
gonna
he-
say, look at the average, right?
He's
Like,
only a
Right.
career 233 hitter. He's not a high
Right.
average guy. Never has
Yeah.
been. He does take a fair amount of walks. I mean, last year he K'd 200 times but walked 86.
and for a guy that his best spot in a lineup to me is the number 2 hitter. Like
Yeah.
that's his ideal best spot. Like you can't really have a guy hitting 218 in the 2. I mean, you can a little bit because he's going to hit you 35 to 40 bombs, but like, there's going to be a lot of nights where, you're not as efficient as you could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
always thought it was weird when he hit leadoff.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
Sox. He
yeah.
hit leadoff for the Sox
Yeah.
for a while there too, right?
But he did okay there though.
Because he takes a lot of pitches. Like he sees a lot
Yeah.
of pitches, which is good, but
Yeah.
he's not a typical leadoff hitter.
I don't think I don't know. We're getting on a tangent here.
But neither
I-
is Mookie Betts. But anyways,
I don't think the Sox necessarily care about their leadoff hitter getting like. I don't think they look and be like, we need the next Johnny Damon. Like
Yeah,
I think that idea for the Sox is gone.
Yep.
I think Harrison, to your point, like he sees a lot of pitches. So like, by the time you're Xander Bogaerts and Rafi and all that, Schwarber has forced the pitcher to throw all of his pitches.
yep, seen it all.
Right? You've already seen them all within the course of a 9-pitch at bat.
Right.
Like they care more about that early in the game than they do about like drawing a walk in the first. Whatever. There's
Right,
so
right.
much baseball to be played. Like it's much more valuable for a pitcher to have to work and throw all his pitches in the first 12, which I tend to agree with. It is a weird spot for him. I think he's the ideal number 2 hitter.
All right, let's switch gears here. Move on to the 5th inning where we are going to do our AL West preview. So now we're finally into the American League. We'll do our AL West preview. Who would like to take this one? I mean, I think we all have the
I
first
was like,
base team.
man, I'll do it, but I feel like we got the same answer. So,
Yeah.
and for me, it's the Astros. Astros are still the top team.
Yep.
I think the Mariners are still a click behind them. Maybe a handful of games behind them, but closing the gap a little bit. Behind them, I got the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to be about a 500-ish ball club. They made a lot of improvements. They're not quite there yet, but I think they're going to be fun to watch. Then you're going to go with the Angels and then the Athletics, who I think still play baseball, but they're clearly going to finish in the basement.
We don't
Yeah.
know if they do because no one goes to the games and watches.
Well,
them,
and
so.
can you name anybody on their active roster right now? I don't think I can.
Tony
Sean
Kemp.
Murphy was the only guy I could remember.
Yeah, and Elvis Andrus got dealt too. So
Right. So who the hell's
Right.
who's even there anymore?
No clue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a AAA team in the major leagues.
I actually have switched the Rangers and Mariners. I think the Rangers could possibly take second place over the Mariners just because of the pitching upgrades. I think they're a little bit deeper than the Mariners in the staff now. I mean, granted, this is if they all stay healthy, right? DeGrom, Evaldi, Perez, who else? They added three or four.
Gray.
John Gray, right? They added 3 or 4 like good arms that are going to give them a good amount of wins. And like we've been saying, or Sean's been saying, both have been saying, putting up runs for the Rangers isn't an issue. It's preventing them. And they addressed that this offseason. I think possibly the Mariners did not improve their pitching staff at all. Other than the Luis Castillo at the trade deadline, they did not deepen their starting pitching.
No, but I don't think they needed to do a lot.
I agree.
You had guys like Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, guys that are going to come back after another season under their belt. And I don't know. I still think the Mariners are the better team. The Rangers to me are kind of a dark horse. I think that is a much improved team. I have huge questions about how many starts you get out of DeGrom and Evaldi. If you get 3/4 seasons out of those guys, that might be an 85 to 90 win team because they're going to score runs. Simeon's not going to be the same player he was last year. He came on in the second half of last year. They've got a good core. They've got a decent offense. They've got some good arms. The bullpen is a massive question mark if they can hold leads. But I think they're going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I had Seattle second and Texas third, but I had Texas much more of a close to 85, 86 wins. I think like 1 win behind. I think it comes down neck and neck. It comes down to the final weekend of the season, and I just think Seattle, with the experience that Seattle has going through it 2 years in a row, let's not sleep. I'm the guy now. This is 3 weeks in a row that brings up manager. Let's not sleep on Bruce Bochy in Texas. I mean, that is an upgrade.
Yeah,
that is a major upgrade. We said it last year when San Diego went out and got
Bob Melvin,
and I mean that worked for them.
Yep.
And I'm not sitting there saying I think that Bruce Bochy is going to take Texas to the ALCS, but I think he upgrades that team. I think I'm with you 100% on offense. Has never been their problem. Has not been their problem.
Runs.
I certainly don't think that Simeon's going to start the season just in the horrific pace he did last year. I think he's going to – so I think offensively they'll be fine. I think pitching-wise they'll be fine. I just don't know if they're quite there yet. And it might just be experience. It might just be they just need a year of kind of playing together and
yeah.
So
your boy Lindor just blew this game open, Sean.
I just saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely fair. I mean,
I do think so. I'm a little more reserved in the Rangers than you guys are because I just don't trust the pitching staff to hold up.
Yeah,
but I think if the pitching staff holds up, I'm right there with you guys. They are competitive right into September.
And I mean, let's not sleep on the fact that they're the Rangers, right? I mean that's also It could be a deciding factor.
That's an organization that's been snake bitten with bad luck and bad breaks and all kinds of stuff. But I do what they did in this offseason, I'm really impressed by. I've talked about them a lot. I know you guys feel the same way. That is a team that's made massive strides to improve. And I think they're only going to get better. They may not be there yet, but I think they're at least going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does Lindor just get backpicked?
I was just going to say, how did you get picked off at third base, dude? I mean, come on.
No. Backpicked.
Sorry, backpicked. Yes,
backpicked by the catcher.
How does the catcher snap throw to third and catch you? I mean, I don't get it.
That's weird.
It's because it's 9-0. That's why.
A brain fart.
That's.
Well, he just emptied the bases on a double off the wall. So
yeah,
that's true.
He's probably still celebrating. But I think the AL West is probably, just to wrap up the AL West, I think the AL West is going to be more competitive than it has been in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That if anything else, that's exciting.
And with that being said, Houston's still going to win it by 6 games when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're still the class of the American League.
Oh.
So since we're in the AL West, we'll bring in Ohtani again because, Does he get dealt
Yep.
at the deadline?
No.
No, I don't think so.
They're going to hang on him the last minute. The Angels, they added Renfroe. They're going to be a little bit better than they were last year. They won't be competitive, but I think they're going to hang on to Shohei to try to, maybe tempt him into staying, but he's clearly gone.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but unless you're a team that's like on the bubble, why would you give a huge package away for a guy is going to free agency in a few months?
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
There's no hometown discount here. There's no negotiating during season. He is going to hit the market and ring the register.
So that was going to be my side of it. Not necessarily that the Angels aren't going to want to. I just don't know that there's going to be a team out there that's going to give up what you're going to have to give up to get him for 4 months.
What if it was a sign and extend deal?
Well, why would Shohei do that though?
But he already said he won't. He's going to the market.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Theoretically, Nick, if it was, then sure. I mean, it was certainly worth the conversation. Right?
You'd have to throw a crazy freaking number at him to get him to do that.
Yeah. No.
If your owner's willing to pay it, and your, front office is willing to part with the just plethora of talent that you're going to have to give up, then sure. I mean, because he is worth it. But
you thought that package for Juan Soto was lucrative. Yeah. Get ready.
He's gonna be out there like bench warmers. There's just 3 people on the field: a pitcher, catcher, and an outfielder, because he had to give up the entire organization to get.
He's the kind of guy, and I know I've been a huge guy kind of bagging on Shohei Ohtani. He is the kind of guy that could change an entire organization's future. He's only 27 years old. He turns 28 during the year. He's the kind of guy that could change an organization's entire direction.
Yeah.
So if you want half my major league roster and everybody in AAA, you can have them, because I don't know how many of them are even going to pan out.
Right. Yeah. How did bench warmers never come up in our baseball movies? By the way?
I know.
That's a great question.
That movie is so great. I can watch the movie all the time.
I've been dying to watch The Rookie again after we talked about those movies. That's such a good one.
Anyways, well, we'll just have movie night. Well, I'll just bring it up now. So we're planning a baseball trip to Baltimore and Washington in May. We're so excited for that. We're going to see the Pirates against the Orioles, and then we're going to see the Mets for 2 games in Washington. So that's going to be an awesome. We're probably going to do a podcast or 2 there, but
we'll do some podcasts. We'll get some live videos, some clips. It is the RTRT, the Rounding Third road trip.
The RTRT, so great. But we'll just have to binge watch movies at night when we're cuddling or something. It's going to be great.
Nick was insistent on only getting 1 bed in the room. It was weird.
Easy. It's weird. Easy.
It's weird. All right, moving on. 7th inning. Here we go. We are going to. This week we are on third baseman. So your all-time third baseman and your current third baseman. Who do you guys got?
I think we probably have 2 of the 3 are the same.
I would think so.
I mean, Mike Schmidt has to be. If he's not on yours, then you don't get a vote.
I was just going to say, if Mike Schmidt's not on your list, then you're off the podcast.
I mean, he's the best third baseman of all time.
Period.
Brooks Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
good one.
And I'm going with a biased one, but I still think you can make an argument. Give me David Wright. I love David Wright. I absolutely love David Wright.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all-time third baseman. It's so deep.
Yeah.
But you give me him.
Yeah. How about you, Harrison? Who are your all?
I had Michael Jack Schmidt, of course, number 1, followed by Chipper Jones and George Brett.
Yeah.
Oh, George Brett's a real good one.
And for me, I mean, I almost put Nolan Arenado on this list. I think in a couple of years he'll be on that list, but for right now, he's honorable mention.
Man, he's just so.
George Brett's a real good one.
Stupid good,
consistent.
Well, and for me, I grew up watching George Brett in his prime, and my God, was that guy fun to watch?
Yeah, hit machine. I have Schmidt, Brooks Robinson, and Chipper Jones for my 3.
Chipper.
Yep. And then we had some viewers chime in, and we got Nate Dunkley says Arenado, Chipper Jones, and Adrian Beltre for his top 3.
Beltre is another real good one.
I love Adrian Beltre. He's so underrated too.
He sure is. Sure is.
And then Ken says Mike Schmidt, George Brett, and Chipper Jones. That was a typo, Chipper Jones. But yeah.
You got joned.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, it's that position's so deep. I could pick 3 more and they'd be right.
Yeah.
They would be
Oh, man.
dated right.
Puerto Rico's pulling De Leon. He's got a friggin' no going, but they got to pull him.
Pitch count. Yeah. No, not just a no. He's got a perfect game.
Oh, you're right. That's right. Nobody's been on base for Israel.
Nobody's been on base.
Holy cow.
He's been absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Who's pitching for them?
De Leon, Jose De Leon.
Oh yeah.
He's been nasty.
He's been fantastic.
Who are your current 3? I mean, I think all 3 of them are probably
Arenado, J Ram, and Devers.
Is that who you got, Sean?
Yeah, I think you could put Machado in there.
Yep.
I have Machado instead of Ramirez, but
yeah,
J Ram's up there too.
You got probably 6 guys you could put in the 3 slots. I mean, it's actually a pretty deep position right now.
Yeah, it is. Sure is.
Yeah. So next week, I think we're moving to the outfield now. We're finally on our last 3 positions here: left field, center field, and right. So we'll start in left field, and we'll go from there. All right, rounding third question. Biggest surprise so far in the World Baseball Classic. We're kind of bring it back real quick.
Wade Boggs, another great one.
Yeah, Wade
Boggs.
I love
another
Wade
fantastic
Boggs,
one. Fantastic way. I don't know how we forgot Wade Boggs. Absolutely spot on.
That dude was crushing his was it Miller Lights or was he a Coors Light guy? I can't remember.
And
then his lemon chicken before games.
Right, all of it.
It
didn't even matter.
His 3,000th hit was a home run. I mean,
there's only 2 guys to ever do that. You know who the other one is?
No.
To do what?
Oh, Jeter, you're right.
His 3,000th hit to be a home run.
That's
only
right.
2 guys, Wade Boggs and Derek Jeter.
That's right. I forgot about Jeter.
And it's funny because neither one of them were known as like home run guys.
No,
but
goodness gracious, no.
Home run. Yeah, dude. So I'm coaching the JV team at our high school for baseball.
That's
and
awesome.
so we have like our meeting that starts tomorrow, to like with the whole team. And there was this one kid. He comes up in between classes and he's like doing his like swing or whatever. And I just said to him, I'm like, listen, man, do you have a tee at home? And he said, yeah. And I'm like, hit 100 swings off a tee every day. And he's like, a tee? I'm like, dude, Wade Boggs hit like 300 swings off a tee a day as a Major League Baseball player.
Yep.
Like, if you think you're too old to hit off of a tee, like, let me change your mind. Like, that dude was an absolute hit machine, Wade Boggs. Machine.
Yeah,
Have you seen Bryce Harper's cage routine? Have you seen that? So he literally does that, like bottom hand. He does like 100 swings off a tee, 100 swings forehand, goes right into a soft toss, and then he does soft toss with the knob of his bat. So the soft toss comes in and he takes the knob
he's throwing his hand at it.
Yeah, it's and it's like 5 minutes. He gets like 500 swings in like 5 minutes.
He's a machine. Like I would be like passed out on the ground, like gasping for air for like half of that, a third of that, maybe 10% of it. I don't know.
I do that after one swing. I'm like, hell, I stand up and I lose my breath. But anyways, yeah, all right.
Oh,
so rounding third question, biggest surprise in WBC so far. What did we got?
Who wants to go first?
I would say my biggest surprise is probably just Italy making it out of the group stage.
Yep.
You look at teams in that first group, you think Cuba. Not really surprised Cuba gets out. I mean, it's a talented group. Netherlands is a team that surprisingly has like a decent amount of like major league current and then recently passed major league talents. It's like you'd kind of expect the Netherlands. I think Italy getting out, and not just getting up, but the way that they did by beating the Netherlands, the way that they did, was probably the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah,
so far.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before we started recording, but the way Venezuela has kind of just gone through this pool, and I mean gone through the top 2 teams, pretty handily. Like, I mean, not much resistance at all. No. And they look like they are the hottest team right now. Going, I mean, other than Japan, obviously, who just absolutely steamrolled their pool, but the way Venezuela is getting through that pool right now is, I mean, we said they were a sleeper team. They had a great roster. We were, we're like, look out for these guys. They're going to be good. But just kind of how they've gone through that tournament, those first 2 games with ease. I mean, yes, they still have 2 more left, but I I think they're up there for me, and I agree with you with Italy for sure. But I called Pasquantino last week. I wanted him to be my guy, my dark horse. So I'm glad that Italy's out. What about you, Harrison?
Honestly, for me, it's been the quality of the play. It's been far more balanced and competitive than I expected. I mean, we looked at some of these rosters and kind of went, boy, like how is that team going to win? How are they going to compete? And even in the cases that they've lost, we've seen a lot of close games, a lot of games decided by, a single inning, a single play, aside from a 22-2 and the 18-8
20 runs.
But like I feel like in past years we've seen a ton of blowouts.
Yeah.
And we have not seen that many blowouts in this one. I feel like it's been a better quality of play and a more level playing field than I expected. And the game's been a hell of a lot more entertaining to watch than I remember them being.
I don't know if it's because like I'm watching it more closely now that we have the podcast and like, but I feel like the star power overall on all of the teams are a lot higher than what they were before. I mean, like, yeah, you had some good players on the roster, but I feel like there's more big names playing in this one than they have in the past.
Well, but even then, I mean, I'll go one step further, Nick, and I'll even say the guys that we don't know are better than I would have thought. Like I look at a guy like Joey Meneses. That the guy was in the minor leagues for like a decade. Finally gets his chance at like 30 years old. And the dude was a one-man wrecking crew against Team USA last night. Like there's been some guys that have had performances that for people that I would have never thought in a million years would really be difference makers in this event. There's been a bunch of situations like that.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool for like the teams like Great Britain, the teams like Italy, Israel, like these guys are single A, double A players coming up and playing at this stage and this level of baseball has been kind of cool to watch them like be like, oh crap, this is like world-class baseball. This is the level I'm trying to get to. Like I got some work to do.
Well, they had a quote from, I want to say it was the Royals GM, they asking about having Brady Singer and Bobby Witt in this event. And, Bobby Witt hasn't seen the field yet and he's not in the lineup tonight. He may just be a guy that they put in as an extra. But the GM's whole thing was like, these are young players that need these kinds of experiences. They need to be around these players. Absolutely. They need to be in these kinds of situations, these kind of games. They need to see what big time baseball looks like. So they were excited to have two guys on that team, young guys that can get that experience.
And Pasquantino is on the
right.
Squad,
that's right.
So, I mean,
another guy.
Yep. So I mean, yeah. And who knows what the Royals are going to be in a couple of years? If they pull the right strings at the right time, they got some young guys coming up. They could be.
It's just like when they put that World Series run together. They were horrendous 3 or 4 years before.
They know what that's like. They've done it before.
Yeah,
they've done it. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I just to harken back real quick to Venezuela, right? I don't think any of us are totally shocked. Is probably not the right word for Venezuela, because we had when the roster came out, it's a talented roster.
It is.
I think immediately we noted that they were in a tough pool with Puerto Rico, with Dominican Republic, and we said it's going to be tough. But I think, like, if we just take a look at the lineup, it's not just talent. Like, they have such a good lineup together.
It's balanced,
right? Like, you got
super
balance, right? Like, you got guys like Jose Altuve, Luis Arraez. You got guys that Andres Jimenez, Gleyber Torres has power. Suarez for the Mariners has power. Miguel Cabrera, veteran. Eduardo Escobar can do it all, switch hitter. Like, and that's just on the infield. And then outfield-wise, you got Ronald Acuna Jr., Anthony Santander, who has certainly made an impact. Like, it's not just the talent. It's just like the way that the lineup, it almost puts itself together. Yeah. Not to say that the manager doesn't have to do any work, but you know what I mean, right? Like the lineup, it just puts itself together. Like, they're just so good. They're just so deep.
Dude, Miguel Cabrera pinch hits last night and gets up and just slaps one back through the middle. It's just, I know, but it's just like the guy's
he's
guy's
toying
54
with you.
If guy's 54 years old, still gets up and just hits a laser back up the middle.
But let me ask you this. When he got up, didn't you know that's exactly what he was going to do?
Yes.
Because
I was fully like a line drive to right field. That's what I was looking for.
I was not like. It would be cool to see a home run. I'm like, Miggy's not up there to hit a home run.
No,
you knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Hands inside the ball, solid contact, drive it. Like you just knew that's what he was going to do.
Right.
I think we all expected Venezuela to be competitive in this pool and probably advance as the number 2 seed. I think the one question we all had was they got a bunch of hitters, but like who's going to drive in runs? Yeah. Because you got a bunch of guys, Altuve and Arraez, like guys that are just going to like single and double you to death. But what's interesting is Santander has been the guy who's been hitting moonshots, but that is a team that like it's like old school baseball. They will just string hits together and wear you the hell out.
Dude, Arise, I don't think has gotten out yet.
Oh my
Every
goodness,
time I
no.
see that guy get up to the plate, dude, he's slapping one between the center field and right field.
Altuve and Arise, they're seeing a ton of pitches. They're putting everything in play. Like this team doesn't have to hit home runs to win. They will literally just string hits together and wear you out.
It's crazy. It's been fun to watch them for sure. But yeah, like Wednesday night is going to be the test, like we said. Dominican
it's gonna be so fun.
And Puerto Rico. That's going to be crazy.
So Wednesday night, 7:00, you got the Dominican and Puerto Rico to settle that bracket, and then at 10:00, you got the U.S. and that'll likely settle that bracket.
Yep. So
yeah, right.
All right, let's start heading home here. We got a few things to wrap up here. I posted this video. I can't remember if it was on my page or the Rounding Third page, but this was absolutely horrendous. College game. I don't remember the two teams, but this kid.
It was like Mississippi Valley State and like New Orleans, maybe.
Yeah. So this kid takes strike two a little bit low. It was on the border. I mean, whatever. But the kid kind of shows up the umpire, said it was low, walks out of the box, and finally digs back in. And the next pitch, no joking, I'm not exaggerating at all. This pitch was about a foot off the plate and in the dirt, and the umpire rings him up and ends the game.
Would have hit a lefty in the ankles, I think.
Like, it was really bad. Ump just rings him up to make a point, and mayhem ensues. But it did come out that the ump did get suspended. But
yeah, he was relieved of his duties. Yeah,
I don't agree with what the kid did. Don't get me wrong. I don't.
Yeah,
it's not his place to do that, especially as a college kid. But as an umpire and an adult,
yeah,
like you're not doing your job. You don't do that. If you don't like what the kid did, toss his ass out of the game. Right? If he shows you up, toss him. That's it. Right? Yeah. Boom, gone. You don't do that. That's disrespecting the game fully.
And this was a 7-3 game. Like it was, the kid got the second strike call was probably a little low. It wasn't horrendous.
No.
The reaction was a bit aggressive for a 7-3 game. You were losing. I get probably a lot of that was probably frustration from the way the whole game had gone. But there's absolutely no reason an umpire should ever make a call like that to make a point. It looked like it's atrocious. And the conference suspended him indefinitely because they felt like his actions were detrimental to the game and the conference. And he'll probably never umpire again in that conference.
As they were.
Great, as he shouldn't. But holy cow.
I mean, it was bad. If you haven't seen the video, go look the video. I mean, it was It was like comically bad. Like it was like something you'd see in one of those like early on Little League World Series games. It's like, what is happening? Like,
sure.
Like where they have like a time, like we got to get this game over, so we're just gonna start calling everything strikes. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
The kid's already walked 12 and walked 12 runs in. Like, I'm just going to call this next pitch a strike. That's exactly what it looks like.
We have another game that starts in 45 minutes. Like, we have to get this game over.
Oh,
yeah, it was nuts.
But yeah, there's just no need for that. Especially that kind of ties in with us complaining about the power hungry umpires, right? Like, pull the kid aside, be like, hey, dude, don't do that again. You do that again, I'm tossing you out. And then just call the rest of the game. That's what, 2 more pitches? I mean, like, come on.
Exactly. You're 2 outs in the 9th of a game that was 7-3, and you're 2 minutes away from just going home and this thing being over.
Yeah.
Why pick that fight with a college kid? I mean, you're an adult. Yeah, you're an adult picking this kind of fight with a college kid. I mean, come on.
And you lost your job over it. It's
so stupid.
Unreal.
I mean, makes you wonder, what the hell did you think you were going to get out of that?
Yeah, just caught up in the moment. He's just like, I'm going to show this kid.
Yeah.
But
my goodness.
Terrible. Carlos Rodon for the Yankees is starting on the IL. So that's another Yankees pitcher down to start. So Montas is out for the season. Rondon's out with a forearm strain. I don't know what the timetable for him is, but
they're shutting Rodon down for a couple of weeks as in hopes that he'll be able to just kind of heal with rest. If that works, you'll see him in like mid to late April. If he needs more rest or potentially some rehab, he could be out into May or June. And then what I found interesting too is when Frankie Montas went down, we all thought, wow, it's too bad. But then Frankie Montas was actually talking to the media a couple of days ago saying that when he got traded, his arm wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I read that, I'm going, Wait, what? Like the
Mhm.
Yankees trade for a guy who was clearly already damaged and
Mhm.
let that just happen? Like, don't you normally do the physicals before you approve the trade?
Well, even if that's key, even if you thought that an already hindered Frankie Montas was what was going to get you over the top, we don't have to agree with it. I think that's
Yeah.
dumb. But even if you
Ooh.
why, when the season ended, are we not putting him under the knife?
Right.
Yeah.
Why is
Like,
he not
how-
right with
Yeah.
the specialist?
How are we getting to this point in spring training to then it's now going to affect the impact of the start of the
Yeah.
year, and then Frankie's like, oh yeah, no, this is happening at the trade. It's like, well, why, was there a disconnect? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, the timing is weird.
That's like the Scottie Pippen ankle injury where like he spent the whole offseason relaxing and like went under the knife like game one,
Yep.
missed the season. It's like what? Why didn't you do that in the offseason, man?
No, he was making a point. I mean,
Well, exactly, he's making
at
a
least
point.
Scottie Pippen
Yes.
was making a point. I
Right.
don't think
Scottie
Frankie
Pippen
Montas
had a
is
reason to
making
make a point.
I think the point is that Cashman like is kind of losing it.
Yeah, to trade for a guy who was clearly hurt and then not deal with it in the offseason. I mean, if I'm the Steinbrenners looking at Cashman going, what the hell were you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless they got a good deal for him. I don't know what the trade package
You've
was.
got
but
some
maybe
explaining to do.
Yeah. Maybe the trade package was a lot less than it was going to be if you took damaged goods.
But still, I mean, you think you would have taken care of that in the offseason before you lost
Right.
for another
I
whole
agree.
season.
I agree. The timing's
Yeah.
not
Because you didn't
not right.
you didn't get diddly out of Montas last year. He was terrible, and they shut him down.
That's got to be the bigger issue. The bigger
Yeah.
issue has to be not necessarily the trade, but
Why didn't you fix it?
what
right after the
happened.
season?
Right. Like you guys, I don't know if they know this, but like they didn't win the World Series. They didn't even play in the World Series. So like they didn't have to wait until November. What like as soon as the season was over, you could have gone get this squared away.
Yeah, and so Frankie Montas came to the Yankees. He was 1-3 with a 6.35 ERA. They shut him down after 40 innings. He missed a lot of September, and you didn't deal with the issue until March
Even
of
at that point.
2023. Like
Yeah,
you had
the
a
whole
solid
thing's weird.
6 months to fix this.
Oh,
The whole
that's
thing's
terrible.
weird.
That's
What the
weird.
hell were you thinking?
Yeah. I also got the Red Sox were 9-0 before the Harrison jinx. So Harrison texts us about I don't know last Tuesday and goes, "Don't look now, boys, but the Red Sox haven't lost in spring training, and they haven't won since."
And they've lost some really bad ones too. Like
Yeah.
they got smoked yesterday.
But I mean, I know it's still spring training. I
know.
just thought that was pretty funny. Like he's like, man, the boys are 9-0 right now, and then they've lost like 7 straight. But
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
It's fine.
I mean, their entire roster is playing at WBC anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
Washington Nationals extend their young catching prospect Kybert Ruiz for 8 years, $50 million. I mean, I think that's a steal. That's what
That is a steal.
I do too.
a little bit more than $6 million a year. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good player, and I think
Yeah.
he handles the staff well. I think they got quite a lot of young pitching this year, so I think they'll be a fun team to watch with the young pitching, and I think he's going to fit right in behind the plate. I like him.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just so
I think
happens
it's
we're
good
going to be
for them.
down there to see them for a couple of games, so that'll be fun.
Yep.
Damn right.
Yeah, he was my National League Rookie of the Year pick last year.
Mine
and
too.
Didn't
Mine
quite
too.
pan out, but he'll be good in there for sure.
Do you still have this game? Do you still have this game on?
I do.
Edwin Diaz just went 0-2, 101 down and away at the knees
Yep.
for strike 3.
Disgusting.
You guys
And
are
poor
ahead.
kid from Israel was like, what just happened?
You guys are ahead of me. I'm just gonna watch it. Oh my god!
I love the fact like the kid literally walked back to the dugout talking to himself because he had no idea what just happened.
Yuck. Look at this.
That's disgusting.
It's just not
Yuck.
right. I've got the sound turned down. Do they have Timmy trumpets there in Arizona?
I don't know. I have the sound down too. I don't know.
Also, an extension. The Diamondbacks extended their young prospect Corbin Carroll to 8 years and $111 million. So he gets double the money that Ruiz gets.
And I look at that. And he's also got a chance to tack a couple years onto that too, I believe. But I look at that. The guy had a great rookie year, but that is a lot of money to dish out to a guy you've seen for 140 games.
Well, I think
I don't doubt his talent. He's insanely talented, and I feel like this will go down as a steal of a deal for them over the long term. But that's a big commitment to a guy you've seen for a season.
Yeah, I mean, I think from Arizona's perspective, they're probably looking and going, "Hey, like we like what Atlanta's doing with their young players. We kind of want to mold it after what they're doing, right? Like get these guys a little bit of experience. We like what we saw for the limited experience he's had so far. We think he's only going to get better. We want to build around him 8 years. Like I like that. I think the problem that you have is not everyone has talent evaluators like Atlanta. So if you swing and miss, if you do that 3 times and swing and miss on one, that's a big miss.
That's huge. Yeah.
You know, I think Corbin Carroll is good. I like his talent. I actually don't think they're going to swing and miss on this one. I think this is a good one, but you know, just be wary of that. But all that being said, another thing about this though is, let's say Arizona stinks for the next 5 years, they could trade. He's going to be a crazy trade piece.
Yeah, it's
right.
Like he's going to be a guy
contract.
too. Right. I mean, like it's a very movable contract.
Yeah.
So for a team that's going to, for a team that if you stink and you can't put it together 4 or 5 years from now, it's like, you know what? There's always teams that need speedy outfielders that can get on base and play Gold Glove defense. So that's movable.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not, you know, there's no downside in that.
Yeah, this dude is the #1 rated prospect in all of baseball. Like it's head and shoulders, and I think it's going to be a good deal for the Diamondbacks in the long term. Even to Sean's point, if it doesn't work out great for them and they still stink, they can always unload him. But they've got a lot of young talent coming up behind him too, and I think having him locked down for the long term is going to give some stability to that roster as they bring a lot of young players in and start to assemble what, you know, could be a pretty potent team if all these young guys pan out.
Yeah, if I'm them, I start with him and I start with Ketel Marte. Those 2 guys I start with, those are good young. Ketel Marte is a little more proven; he's been there a little longer. But 2 young guys that have been there for an extended period of time and done it, and build around them.
Yeah, and they're going to be the face of their franchise too. Like they're going to be the consistent face. For
sure.
There.
And you know, they brought in Gabriel Moreno. They've got Drew Jones coming up behind. Like they've got, you know, it's a decent young core with a lot of young guys in the system coming up.
Yeah. Drew Jones is what, 18?
Yeah, but he might be there sooner than you think.
Right? Buddy, no, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say let's take bets on if he's up there before he's 20. I'll take that bet.
Because I mean, Andrew Jones was up there when he was what, 19?
I don't think he is.
You don't think before 20?
He has all that arm problem. I don't think he's up there before 20.
No, he's probably still a couple years out. But yeah, I mean, Andrew Jones
is 18 now.
18.
Yeah, but he's on the he's on the shelf for a year.
Is true. Is he out that long?
Yeah, it was a full shoulder, I think. They said he wasn't going to play at all that when he got drafted. So from June to June, I think that's what they said was a full year for Drew Jones, because he showed up for the workout in Arizona and then like immediately shut him down. He took like 1 trip around the bases and then he was like, "Yeah, we're done." But yeah. Anyways, last thing I have, Trevor Bauer has signed with a new team in Japan, the Yokohama Bay Stars in Japan. So Trevor Bauer has seen his last MLB inning. I'm going to say for the rest of his career. I think he just finishes his career in Japan, would be my guess. You know, he gets like the Manny Ramirez. Manny Ramirez just kind of gets popped for PEDs and then just goes to Japan. So that's where Trevor Bauer is going for the next year. I don't have details on that, but that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a 1 year, $4 million deal. He's going over there to basically resurrect his career. But what I find interesting is when he was a free agent back in like 19 or 20, even then he said, "I'll consider all offers from MLB and NPB, which is a Nippon baseball league." I mean, he was considering Japan years ago. And if you look on like his social media profiles, he's got his name in Japanese and all this. Like he's been flirting with going to Japan for a while because he was so frustrated by MLB. Yeah. And, you know, I think he's going to get what he wants. MLB doesn't want him. That's clear by how this whole thing's gone down. Yeah, he'll go to Japan, probably dominate over there for a few years, and then he can retire and do whatever. But I don't see him coming back to MLB. I think it's insane nobody signed him this year, but I do feel like there's a certain level of we don't want you across the league because of who he is. And I think that's a bet he made that he's now got to lie in.
Yep. Agree 100%. And then the last thing I have is if you are a T-Mobile user, this is not an ad, I'm just saying, free MLB TV. So March 28th to April 3rd, you can sign up for free MLB TV for
Jesus,
the
I'm
year.
switching to T-Mobile, man.
If you're a T-Mobile user, you can sign up for MLB TV for the year for free.
And for the record, for those of you in the Northeast, Verizon really sucks these days, man. It's been really bad lately.
So you switch to T-Mobile with a price lock guarantee. If you get it just get the mobile app from March 28th to April 3rd, you get free MLB TV for the year. So that's
you got one of those
free ads,
affiliate
T-Mobile.
links, Nick?
No free ads, T-Mobile. Pay us.
Yeah, right.
Where's our affiliate link and our affiliate commissions?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So go ahead and switch just for that week, and then you can.
I was thinking about switching, and I might do it now.
Yeah, free. I mean, that's like $150 value, man. Go do it.
It's like a free month of cell phone coverage.
Absolutely. So that's all I had. Do you guys have anything else?
I got one thing for you. And so I'm not sure how many of those you were following spring training, but 16-year-old Ethan Salas made his spring debut with the Padres behind the plate. So the Padres had this kid in the game catching at 16 years old. And they asked him after the game, like, what's like being a 16-year-old in the field? He's like, I'm ready. I've been preparing for this for years. The kid was like so calm and cool. He looked so good behind the plate. He was so smooth. He's got a cannon for an arm at 16. His mechanics behind the plate are really good. The way he frames a pitch is really good. Friggin' kid's 16. And he's up there catching major leaguers.
Is that the Dominican catcher that they signed?
He was the number one he was that first round pick they took, the 16 or no, the international pool kid they took. They paid like $5 million to. They spent their entire international pool on this kid. And he looks like he could be catching at the major league level right now.
That's awesome,
crazy, dude.
It was pretty cool.
And then he goes to English 2 next on Monday.
right.
Sophomore year of high school, dude. That's insanity.
16 years old, catching in spring training, looking like he belonged there.
Nuts. Sean, you got anything?
No, man. Just ready to roll. 1 week closer, baby.
Yep, that is right. So we will be back next Monday. I'll put out a question of the week, and then I'll put out the poll for the best left fielders of all time, the best current left fielders. We're going to stay position specific because we'll move across the outfield for there. So we'll put those out. We'll obviously do a recap, and we'll probably be posting stuff about the WBC throughout the week. Wednesday night's going to be nuts, so stay up for that. Drink your coffee. Do your cocaine, whatever you do to stay up and watch those games, because the two pools, C and D are going to be decided those nights. So
cool. C and D.
C and D.
That's what did I say?
C and B.
Oh, B and C, but C and D.
I meant D as in dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep. No, I just clarified. That's all. I was just clarifying.
Yeah. I thought I said.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. All right. So that does it for us, and we'll see you next Monday at 8:00.